You have no right to be near this well house. It is locked for a reason.
I live here, and I have a right to access this well house door.
Exactly how it happened.
I'm not accusing anyone. I simply need to see the system documentation.
I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the new lock on my well house. That building contained equipment my property depended on, and nobody had asked me first. The HOA president showed up with 2 board members and acted like the lock was perfectly normal. She told me they were taking control of the situation. My well wasn't just a pump in the ground. It supplied pressure and storage for a carefully designed water system that had been maintained for years. Their notice claimed the restriction was temporary and related to maintenance coordination. What bothered me was that nobody had scheduled maintenance with me. I called the HOA office and asked a simple question: who authorized the lock? After several transfers, nobody could give me a straight answer. Then I pulled out the original water system plans. That was when I noticed something the HOA board apparently hadn't considered. Several community hydrants were connected to the same water infrastructure. Suddenly, that little padlock became a much bigger issue. The chief studied the plans for less than a minute before looking up. Then he asked the HOA president one question that changed everything. "Where do your hydrants get their water?" the chief asked. The HOA president hesitated before saying she assumed the municipal system supplied them. That assumption was the problem. The plans showed the hydrant branches were supplied to the private system connected to my well infrastructure. The chief inspected one of the hydrants and checked the surrounding system. He wanted facts before anyone made another decision. The pressure reading told us the system was still operating, but the chief explained that reliable emergency access required the entire setup to remain properly maintained and accessible. That evening, the HOA called an emergency board meeting. For the first time, everyone was looking at the same documents instead of making assumptions. The original plans clearly showed how the water system was designed. The HOA had been relying on it without fully understanding the infrastructure behind it. I brought years of maintenance records showing exactly how the system had been cared for. There was nothing mysterious about it. The paperwork was all there. The fire chief explained that emergency water infrastructure could never be treated casually. Everyone needed to know who maintained it, who had authorized access, and how the system actually worked. Eventually, the meeting came back to one simple object: that lock. It had been installed without considering what depended on the equipment behind the door. The HOA president finally admitted they had moved too quickly. She said the board should have reviewed the property documents before restricting access. We went back outside together to inspect the well house. This time, everyone understood why the building mattered. The lock was removed through the proper process, and access responsibilities were documented. No shouting was necessary once the facts were clear. Inside, the chief reviewed the equipment and access points. Everything was organized, labeled, and maintained exactly as the records indicated. Instead of arguing about control, we created a written access plan. It established you could enter the well house, when and for what legitimate purpose. The fire department completed its inspection of the hydrant access points. The system was documented properly, and the community finally had a clear understanding of its water infrastructure. The HOA updated its records and corrected the information it had been working from. That paperwork mattered because future board members needed the same facts. A new access sign was installed with clear instructions for authorized personnel. The goal was simple: protect the equipment without blocking the people responsible for it. The HOA president later approached me and admitted the whole situation had taught the board a lesson. She said they should have asked questions before taking action. The hydrants were accessible, the well house was properly managed, and everyone finally understood how the system connected. A single lock had exposed a problem that better communication could have prevented. I never wanted a fight with the HOA. I wanted them to understand what they were responsible for. And after that day, nobody looked at that little well house the same way. Like, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. I'll see you in the next HOA story.